What's up? What's up? Welcome to the market recap. Today is September 22nd, 2025. So I had one trade last night on pound yen for a little, pretty much kind of like a break-even trade. Very minor profit, just 0.1 R. This was a primary setup for me. It was technically the second setup to pull back to value. The first setup that pulled back to value was this dollar CAD. And I entertained taking it, but the more I kind of looked at it after I built the watch list is I started to have reservations about it, essentially. In the sense that it was an opposite bias to a lot. I mean, not quite like necessarily an opposite bias, but I was waiting for these other CAD pairs to pull back. And at the time that these CAD pairs were starting to pull back, dollar CAD was sitting at value, right? It's like sitting in this area, it's sitting at value. And I'm watching it. And I'm considering taking the trade. But again, I start to look at the daily and I'm like, man, the daily time frame really doesn't give me anything. And I know, like, per the way I trade, I need something on a daily, like pound yen, right? Like pound yen has a nice kind of daily level right here. You have a rejection, you have a bearish engulfing candle, you have a high test. Like, you've got some daily kind of stuff there. That's the step one usually. And I was looking at it primarily just for this kind of 1 hour price action. But the more I kind of started to look at it, the more it pulled back. I just didn't like it anymore. So I chose to sit out. But also, as I'm watching this pull back, I'm also watching pound yen pull back, and pound yen was getting pretty close to the entry point. So I was fine sitting out of this trade and waiting for pound yen. This trade would have been a loss any kind of which way I would have entered it. A full loss, probably. I mean, the first potential entry was this kind of 2 minute, 30-second trend right here if you want to be really aggressive, or you had this additional kind of trend up here. But by this second type of entry, it's already broken the EMAs and the horizontal kind of resistance and the pivot. So it's already broken the levels that we were going to use to protect the stop. So it's not the best, really. So either way, this is the first pullback. I chose to stay out. And then pound yen triggered some alerts. And this had, on the other hand, a really nice kind of entry. I don't have too many qualms about this trade. I mean, we knew that we would have to trade through the 4 hour 200 to hit our 2 hour profit target. But the daily time frame, we have candles. Everything's good there. 4 hour, you do have a lower low coming back for a lower high. So it's a trend change. You're good there. Right, same thing on my 1 hour time frame. It's an IBO, CBO, and on my 10-minute time of entry, it's essentially an ACB. Right, like you have a pullback past that 10-minute 50 up to the 10-minute 200, rejection off the 10-minute 200, and then looking to play that breakdown. Real clear kind of trend upwards here. You can see on all the micros. So your 30-second, your 2-minute, your 10-minute, right? Nice little kind of trending market. If we blow up this 30-second a little bit, you also had this kind of trend line you could draw in as well, and it intersected, the break of that intersected for a break of both those trend lines. So I like the entry here. I thought it was good. Really had no qualms from an entry perspective about taking this trade. Took it on a break of those trend lines and a 30-second break, and then chilled in this trade for about 4 hours or so. Price on this 10-minute time frame, right? It kind of bounces off the 10-minute EMA, not really doing much here. We get a double top and then a breakdown. So this is kind of a great reversal, right? Nice kind of double top breakdown on the break of that 50 EMA and this previous low. I then clipped the high of the double top, reducing most risk off the position. And then you don't see it too well here on this 10-minute time frame, but you did have a kind of a break of this 10-minute 50, and then a retest of it, and then a follow through and a break of that previous high, which you can see better on a 2-minute time frame, right? So this is where price breaks the 10-minute 50, comes back for a retest, which is essentially our 2-minute 200, right? Comes back for a retest of it, and then we get a follow through and a break below that low. So we have a new lower low. At that point, that triggers kind of P2 for me, which is remove most risk from the trade. So I just clipped this recent high and then was taken out shortly after for 0.1 or so. So it looked nice on the time of this breakdown. It's looking like it's about to start kind of trending on a 2-minute time frame down to at least like our 1-to-1 target, the recent lows, or potentially even further. But really, price just kind of moved sideways ever since we entered the trade. Just moved sideways, sideways, sideways all day long. So if I would have left my stop at P1, I likely would have been triggered out right here for a small loss. So I think I managed it according to my plan. And I don't really have any qualms about it. It's just a trade that kind of really didn't play out. And it still might play out. Like, price is just moving sideways, right? It could later today finally get the breakdown. We'll see. But yeah, I like it. I like the trade. As far as the other stuff on watch, I mean, we're watching dollar knock here. Never really pulled back exactly to the value area for us to take a trade on it. We already talked about dollar CAD. And then we were waiting on pullbacks for these other dollar pairs for like kind of ACB style plays. Looks like we might have gotten some of them. I'll look at it more when we get into the watch list here in a minute. Euro CAD. This trade was pulling back and was hitting the area value when as soon as I was closing, as pound yen essentially closed. About the same time I'm watching price on Euro CAD pullback. So I was entertaining taking this trade. It was probably my primary setup of the day that I was interested in taking. Like, it has, all that room to move on a daily time frame. 4 hour look good, 1 hour look good. But price never really decelerated. I mean, you look at this kind of 2-minute time frame, it just kind of shot up and then just continued trending upwards. And by this point, once it's broken the levels in which I was planning on protecting my stop behind, so the EMAs, the fib levels, the horizontal resistance, the pivot, the trend line, it broke everything. So at that point, I wasn't too interested in taking the trade anymore. And then just kind of continued. So by this point, once price really kind of broke all the stuff I was looking to protect my stop with, we got alerts. At that point, I just went to bed. So CAD Swiss, kind of similar thing to Euro CAD here, right? Kind of just broke down and just accelerated downwards. No real reversal. Pound CAD looks like might potentially have some ACB vibes today. Let's look at it later. Aussie CAD, same thing. The other yens kind of still just moving sideways type price action, nothing crazy. And then the other kind of main trade we were watching was this Euro Aussie. I redrew this trend line from the original watch list. I mean, it was originally drawn in kind of here. But we did get this break right after my watch list yesterday, but then we got to push back up. I thought this trend line kind of fits a little bit better. I was looking to see if price would consolidate here, but price just broke and then just continued on. So the ABO I was after really didn't occur. So no real way really to take this trade that I saw. Yeah, so anyway, that was my session. I'm going to go build my watch list for the upcoming session. I'll catch you guys here in a minute. All right, we're back. So try and make this quick. I don't really have anything primary on watch. I think then one of the nicer pairs I have is this Kiwi CAD. So we'll go over it real quick, but I also have this dollar group and then I have a pound group. This was probably one of the nicer trades yesterday. I didn't take it. I didn't really pay attention too well to it. But you have this level You can see on your daily, right? Respected multiple times. You can also see it here on your 4 hour. It's been respected multiple times. So a very strong level from a daily time frame, 4 hour time frame, obviously 1 hour time frame as well. And we're getting a bounce and a push off of that. So I think there's a potential for an IBO on this. The EMAs don't line up perfectly. I mean, in a perfect world, I'd like this break to be a little higher, like in the middle point between these two EMAs. I'd like the pivot to line up with the 50, SR1 to line up with essentially the 1 hour 200. So you don't quite have perfect alignment, but the price action from your 1 hour time frame looks okay, especially on your 10-minute time frame, right? You have a break of a trend. You have this kind of horizontal level here is support, resistance, broke back above it. Now potentially support again. You have this spike right here, but this is just market rollover, large spread. So not really taking it into account. I mean, price is still roughly where it was when market rolled over. So looking for a potential retest of that level and then take the trade long from there. The risk is that this just continues and retests these bottoms again, though, right? And then as well as my entry point is below the 1 hour 50, which is not preferable because I would want to put my stop behind the 1 hour 50. But just if you remove the indicators, remove the EMAs, and you just look at like price action wise, it's interesting. You have this kind of decent level. We've bounced off multiple times. You consider this a wave 1, wave 2, play a wave 3 off of it. You've got MACD divergence in here on your 1 hour time frame. So yeah, I think it may be worth a shot. I have a position size right now for 3-to-1, 17 pip position, 3-to-1 kind of target at the 4 hour 50. But also it's a 2-to-1 roughly to SR1, which lines up with these other kind of previous highs over here on your 4 hour time frame, 1 hour time frame, right? Which is also kind of a decent level. So it's almost like it's trading within a range. So it could just be kind of a range play back to these tops. So pay attention to it. I think it's probably one of the nicer options of the day because there's not a ton out there. For the dollar pairs, they're interesting. Most of these are all the same, except for dollar yen. I was kind of looking at it as an IBO style play, but I can't really draw too great of a trend line into here. It's kind of a very shallow break. It could just, I don't know. I mean, it's sideways price action on the daily. It doesn't look all that great. It's an option. I think it has an edge to the downside, but I likely probably won't trade it just because it's got some ugly price action. But these other dollar pairs are interesting in the sense that you have these kind of levels on your 1 hour, 4 hour dailies, right? Like these kind of recent all-time lows or recently respected lows, not necessarily all-time lows, but you have this potential on your like 4 hour, your 1 hour, like these inverse head and shoulders, which is fascinating. So they don't quite fit into a normal strategy. It's kind of almost discretionary in a sense, but the level's interesting. So, but if I was to take this dollar PLN, for example, the entry is about right now, the way I'm looking at it. Or like this dollar Swiss, same thing. It could push a little bit further to 0.382. The fibs I got drawn from the very low to the very high from like a 4 hour perspective. Thinking like a stop below that. Target of 4 hour 50, daily 50, or 4 hour 200, daily 50. Something along the lines of this. Might have to play with that position size some, but at least get to like a 2-to-1 was my thought. But I really don't like taking discretionary trades. But I need options. So flag it. I'm continuing to watch it, but all these dollar pairs are similar concept. I'm just looking at them as these potential inverse head and shoulder plays to the daily 50. So, and then these pound pairs, had these on watch yesterday for ACBs. Pound dollar still needs a little bit of a pullback here. I don't kind of love how on the daily it's bouncing off of the 1 hour 50. It's a negative I have here though, but I mean, the EMAs line up all right with the 4 hour and the 1 hour. So see how it develops. Pound CAD. Again, ACB vibes. The entries were very soon if I were to take this trade, but again, I don't love the daily anymore. Like I like that we've bounced off of this level. I don't really like that we've come down and bounced off of the daily 50 and then got a strong kind of rejection off of it, which could just be this pullback. But you could draw in a trend line in here too as well, right? Like something like this. Put that on the daily. And it could just be a bounce off of this trend line, a continuation, and we retest the highs again. So I don't know. I don't absolutely love it. I think it's got potential. But if I'm going to take a trade, I think I prefer this Kiwi CAD. I like the daily level more. Granted, you have this kind of strong bearish push into it. But this level's been respected multiple times, and we've had bounces each time off of it. So yeah, it's interesting. Could potentially also play it like at the top of this range if it hits here and hits R1, play like a reversal back down to the pivot in the 1 hour 50. Yeah. And this fits, Kiwi CAD fits in with the rest of these Kiwis I have on development watch. I mean, essentially Kiwi CAD is a Kiwi bias. This Kiwi dollar would be a Kiwi bias if it breaks out. That's what I'm waiting for. This Aussie Kiwi would be a Kiwi bias if it breaks down, what I've been waiting for. Same thing with Kiwi Swiss. Same thing with Euro Kiwi. So I have this bullish Kiwi bias, but I'm waiting on breakdowns for all these other Kiwi pairs. The first one to kind of give me a breakout, though, is this Kiwi CAD. So this could be the first potential kind of shot at this bias that I've had for a week or so now as I've been waiting, watching these pairs develop. There's another thought to how I'm looking at Kiwi CAD. Then watching Pound Swiss, just waiting for a breakout upwards. Euro Yen kind of broke the level I had drawn in yesterday. So I have an alert set at just the all-time highs and see what happens over here. Could get a pre-taste of that and then look to possibly trade off of that level, or if we get a breakdown and get like a CBO come tomorrow, it would be also a nice trade. Euro pound, similar thing, right? We're approaching an interesting kind of daily level. Just have an alert set there, see what happens. Euro Aussie. This is the pair I was waiting on for an ABO on yesterday. You still have a level in here on the 4 hour and your 1 hour. So just waiting to see what happens with this. I'm likely at this point just kind of waiting for a breakdown. Kiwi Yen, which this should go with my other Kiwi pairs. Same thing, right? Like waiting for a breakout upwards. And then dollar ZAR is kind of interesting here. You have this level that's been holding pretty well. So a breakout above this and a retest would be a pretty solid CBO. So just waiting for a breakout on dollar ZAR. So yeah, that's about all I got. I don't have nothing that's like super sexy today. There's some options, but they need a bit of a development, see what happens with them. So we'll see. Either way, that's all I got. And I will catch you guys tomorrow. See you.